Good evening, beautiful people, and I hope you're still fine wherever you are. And thanks once again for joining us this evening. It's always nice being with you, and it's been a beautiful year. I'm sure a lot of you can attest. There's been some wins and some important lessons as well. And I'm so happy to be here, especially that I'm with healthy. I haven't seen this nigga in a very long time. The last time we together it was December last year. We played his beautiful concert in House 87, and a year later he's here bringing us another concert. Good evening, Aldin. How are you, man?
Good evening, Zuko, man. I'm great, man, and thank you for having me
Okay, I
on
think.
it.
Um, are you with me, Aldin?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, I think your volume is a bit low.
Can you hear me now? My
Can you
volume
hear me
is
now?
up.
Okay, okay, you can say something so that we see if
Can you
you are
hear me
really
now?
with us.
Can you hear me? Testing. One, two. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, beautiful, man.
Okay, cool. Welcome to Jazz and Pizza Thursdays. Um, I hope you're having a great time in that little room where you're hiding.
Yeah, I'm having a great time. It's a pleasure to be here. Great to be home, and so excited to present the music next week, Wednesday, where of course I will be paying tribute to Prafeya Fagu, who of course I've been researching this whole year in order to complete my thesis, which was a dedication to him. It was a biography and an exploration of his beautiful and diverse discography.
What a beautiful way to honor someone. And we're gonna touch on the academic aspect, which occupied the greater part of your life at UKZN this year. But I would like you to take us back to a moment where you just decided that, okay, look, I've been doing all these things, but here comes a time for me to make the decision that I'm going to be a full-time musician. And from high school, I'm going to pursue um, this music, even like tertiary level. Please take us that moment. Where did you pick up the horn? How did you pick up the horn?
Okay, that's quite a story. Where do I begin? I would say that the music bug, not the jazz bug, but the music bug bit me when I was still in primary school. Um, of course, I went to Sterling Primary, and there would be a day in the year where the Sterling High School big band would come and visit the Sterling Primary band, and they would play for the whole school. The high school big band put on a display of big band jazz. And it was at that moment, I think I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, where I realized that this is actually so cool. You know, these musicians um, doing this in front of us, like they're able to produce sound out of these instruments. And that sound was also able to move me and many other children. Um, so then I started the drums when I was 10 years old because I thought that was the coolest instrument, right? Um, Started with the drums, played the drums in the primary school bands. Um, when I got to grade 8 at Sterling High, because there was no other high school I was going to go to, because I knew that this was the perfect high school that would expose me to jazz, um, through the festivals that they go through, etc., etc. Um, so grade eight, they made us all play the recorder, and depending on how good you were at the recorder, you would be able to pick your instrument by the third or fourth term, I think it was, and eventually I progressed, and they gave me a trumpet mouthpiece to play on to see if I had the correct embouchure or technique. Luckily, my father had played the trumpet and some brass instruments in church, so I would dabble a bit on his instruments, but I wouldn't really know the technique or the notes or anything specific. So then in grade eight, they gave me a trumpet, and then I realized this is a very difficult instrument, and I actually wanted to quit, man. In grade nine, I was ready to put the horn down, um, but then I realized that I could audition for the jazz band, and this is sort of when the jazz bug bit me, right? So the jazz bug bit me around the age of 14, 15, and this was really when I felt that I could use the trumpet to express myself in ways that I really couldn't on the drum kit, whether that has to do with the pitch, maybe I feel was a big reason for this. Um, so eventually I auditioned for the big band on trumpet, and I got in grade 11. I had been in the band in grade 10 on drums, but in grade 11 and 12 I played trumpet, and in those same years I made the national schools band at the jazz fest in Makanda. So that was also like really motivating, going to and being exposed to these festivals where I could meet musicians that really changed my life and inspired me. um, in fact, at the time when I was in high school, Fort Hare was really also flourishing in the music department. They would hold concerts there, and in 2017, I got to meet Prafea Faku for the first time and see him live. He was playing as part of Dominique Egley's um, Swiss project, and they were presenting an album. I think it was called Fufu or More Fufu. Zuko, you would have remembered that clearly. Um, so after that, it was just like, no, I think I need to go do this as a lifestyle. It was so personal to me. Um, I didn't really see myself doing anything else. It was all I really focused on. I would go home from school and practice for hours. Um, Wake up the next day, go to school. It was a repeat of the same thing every day. And my role models, for example, Prafea Faku and one of my mentors, Sakile Simani, all alumni of the University of KwaZulu Natal. And at the time, I had met great musicians that were studying at the university, like Dalisu, Ndlazi, Zibusiso Makatini, Nick Pittman, Riley Giandari on the drums. So these guys, I was able to interact with them on a really deep level. And this also inspired me to go to UKZN, as well as meeting the professor and cluster leader at the time, Salim Washington, who is a huge inspiration to me. And being able to play with these ensembles while I was still in high school also just pushed me towards UKZN. It was starting to feel like home. And of course, first year, second year, third year, fourth year went by so quickly. And I decided to enroll as an honors student for this year, where, of course, my main focus, like I suggested earlier, was focusing on Prafea Fagu. And I felt like this is paying homage, an important homage, because there's not much academic literature on Faku at all. So I feel like this was the first substantial body of work that sort of emphasizes his importance and his influence on the South African jazz idiom.
Thank you so much. Many things are coming up as you are unpacking um,
Yeah,
and taking us through your whole journey as a musician. And I could not help but feel the importance, to think about the importance of the foundation or the development, rather, of a kid into, a fully fledged human being. And you touched on the development which, was nurtured at Sterling and throughout um, the National Arts Festival programs, which then become an important springboard for almost every South African musician. And I was just thinking this morning how everything that we do, particularly here in East London, it's easy for one who does not know the connections to think that maybe Jazz and Pizza Thursdays, which is what we curate, like is a silo or maybe it is just an independent type thing. But if you are not um, informed that there is a connection between, you mentioned Forte, you mentioned Sterling, there's Hudson, there's, Selborne, they all have some, music vocation in their curriculum. And if you check these musicians now who are coming to also contribute to what maybe programs like Just Guitar do, you start realizing that there's a whole trail, there's a whole linkage between all these spaces. There are synergies that may not be as loud or as visible as one maybe would want to see them. But I was just thinking about that today, that it's almost like nothing functions on its own. And you're looking at yourself now, so many years later, since you graduated from Sterling, and you're here and you're playing Jazz and Pizza, which is another platform in town. But these things are all connected. And Vuyo Ngasawe as well is coming, Nishan Pillay and Sakile, and it's a number of players. And I like also how you approach the tale of the whole story, particularly around your academics and deciding to, you know, to conduct a whole study which reflects on Tatu Faku's career and seeing that there's a gap, a huge one, which, you've identified and are also responding to. And what is it that you have found out more? I'm sure it has been challenging again, but also it's nice that you're conducting a study. I mean, on someone who's still, reachable, he's still alive. But what is it that has been the biggest um, take home in the whole quest?
um, what I've taken home in this journey is something that is extremely important in academia, but also just in trumpet playing in terms of kids who want to learn and play, especially within the Eastern Cape. There's no doubt that the Eastern Cape is a place that has nurtured some of the best musicians in the world, let alone South Africa. Yes, they have gotten the recognition, and there is a misconception that in academia there hasn't been a recognition of Eastern Cape jazz musicians. When I feel that there has been some substantial work done, maybe not as much as Cape Town and Joburg, but I feel like when people speak of South African jazz, you speak of Marabi, Sophia Town, you speak of the Guma sound, which comes from the Cape Town, but you have to speak of the Eastern Cape. Um, and the Blue Notes come to mind, Chris McGregor. You know, I can name all of these guys. But what I took home is that, like, we really need to emphasize our heroes, and we can't ever forget where we actually come from and how these heroes have inspired us and what they have taught to other mentors, and those mentors are actually still mentors of ours. I think of Nduduzo Makatini, Sagile Simani, who have all spent a substantial amount of time in East London. Lulama Gulama, may his soul rest in peace. All who are so like they are such important factors in the lives of young people who come from this province. You know, I don't want to name drop because then you'll be sitting here forever. But the general take home was also the connection between music and spirituality, right? Because Faku, he is so passionate about his spirituality. Excuse me. His Xhosa traditions. When you listen to his music and uh, the influences, it's so some of his music is very very Xhosa. You know that 3/4 influence. When you look at like the harmonic structures, very Pondo based. You know, um, no third, no dominant seventh. Not to get into specifics, but you know what I mean. It's like very much a very unorthodox style, which if we were speaking in Western methodology would be said about this music. But I feel that it's so important to stay true to yourself, stay true to your personality. And what I've learned from Faku is always to be humble in your music. You know, he is such a selfless person, and he can acknowledge and realize that music doesn't belong to us, that we are only vessels that sort of represent this bigger picture that no one can really put their hand on, but we can all feel.
That was Dean, and I'm sure he's experiencing some technical glitches. We're gonna take a break and play you some nice music, beautiful reflections and themes. He's picking up as he is telling us more about his journey, and it's always nice to just look back and reflect. And I was just thinking about uh, these connections he's talking of, and this other time we engaged in a beautiful conversation where we touched on a thesis that was written by Hotep Galeta, where he talks about the development of South African jazz, which he locates in Queenstown. And he says that it was in Queenstown that South African jazz started to develop, taking on a distinct form that was emblematic of South African nuance, traditional sensibilities, which really define the people that were making this music. And fast forward 100 years later, you start seeing another movement which is foregrounded by the likes of Duduzo Makhathini, Dr. Duduzo Makhathini, when he came to Forte, and then they established the department, the music department, jazz department. And now it is from that school where you started to see like a lot of um, vibrancy and about jazz in town. And again, this did not function outside of community in which this whole institution, is based. And there was the likes of Pralaka Lulama Gaulana that LD mentioned, and many other people, who have contributed to this monumentous history that we are, pondering on this evening. So let's play some music more, and we're going to continue our conversation with LD. I played you a beautiful song entitled Impilo, and now I'm going to give you another beautiful song by the luminary Brafeya Utatufeya Faku. The song is entitled "Song for My Feathers." welcome again. Um, I hope you're still fine wherever you are. If you've just joined in, you're listening to Kate Radio according to you, and the program is Jazz Outside the Box. I'm broadcasting live from East London studios. My name is Zuko Yigi, and I'm with my guest, Eldane Goodness, an amazing musician, plays trumpet, and he's decided to pursue this music and the academics of jazz, focusing on the life of Raphael Faku. He saw a gap to which he responded with his beautiful thesis, which I hope he'll share with us one day, and I hope he's going to publish it. So we're still here playing you some music. And that was Apple Follow, This Madness by the legendary great Brazim Awana. It's a really interesting piece. Um, he says Ntlombe variations, Epofolo, and then in brackets, this madness, which really talks to a different register as opposed to the literal meaning, which locates Epofolo as a geographical space, but it goes beyond to reveal other layers that are hidden in the song. And he talks about madness, and then you start realizing that this is metaphoric. He's not even talking about the psychiatric, you know, space where mentally disturbed or mentally ill people are taken for healing. He's talking about other things. Before that, I gave you um, Rafea, and he gave us a beautiful song entitled "Song for My Fellas," and it's a beautiful song. He gave us Eldin is having troubles there, connecting back, but we have grasped almost everything that he came giving us, and what I can just highlight is that Eldin is here, and he's playing his concert next week, Thursday. It's a beautiful concert, and he pays homage to um, Putfezile or Tato Fezile Faku, goes by the name Rafea. He's a beautiful father. He's nurtured many people, and we are blessed to have him, living legend. And he's doing a whole tribute to this great icon born at Kadeha. It is gonna be an amazing show, and I hope you're going to be there. You can reach out to him. I know he's on Instagram, and he's gonna be posting about it more. And if you do check us out on Jazz and Pizza Thursdays tomorrow, he's gonna be there and we'll be talking about it. And there's many programs taking place in the city, and it is Jazz Against Apartheid Weekend, and we're gonna see international musicians converging in London to pay homage to um, Johnny Jan. Um, he had really an amazing movement, significant movement when he was abroad. These are some of the musicians who were in exile, and they used jazz, to fight against the system, the apartheid system. And now it's the time where um, this music is going to be played, which mirrors his great, or should I say, astute um, stature in this vocation of jazz. And this almost coincides with the day in which Otatu Bantu Bonge Biko is remembered on Sunday. Then they will play a concert in Ginsberg as a way also to honor this legend. You'll remember that uh, Johnny Jan wrote a song entitled Song for Biko. It is such a beautiful song. And, and Steve Biko, you will know that he was the father of Black Thought. So it's gonna be a beautiful weekend. Some workshops coming up on Saturday or at Center. Please do get it. Please do go and attend. It's gonna be very fulfilling. And tomorrow, we're playing Jazz and Pizza Thursdays. The collective is gonna be gracing the stage. Sakilis Mani on trumpet and flugelhorn, Fuyom Jin on upright piano, Jeffrey Luttering on drums, and Zuko Yigi on upright bass. It's such a beautiful space. You can also get African authored books supplied by Abantu Book Fest. You will remember that London got its designation as a UNESCO Creative City of Literature about a month ago, and we are in that direction where we are promoting the literary work, which really shows the great heritage and legacies of this province. But also, this is a beautiful city where we are able to expand on these literatures, these forms of literatures rather, via music. Now we look into music as another form of literature where there's many histories that are kept in these songs that you play. And it's another theme, Abuile Amakoduka, which is a constant reminder that we always need to keep searching for home and striving to get to that place. And yeah, let's continue playing your music and see you shortly.